Emily's once peaceful life in her small forest home is turned upside down when she finds herself inexplicably pregnant, despite having no recent intimate relationships. Overcome with confusion and dread, she isolates herself from the outside world, cutting ties with friends, family, and even quitting her job at the local pet store. Her only companion during this unsettling time is her faithful dog, Buddy. The story takes a strange turn when Emily decides to set up a hidden camera in her bedroom, determined to uncover the mystery behind her unexpected pregnancy. For days, she anxiously reviews the footage, hoping to find a clue to what could be happening to her. What she discovers is not only unexpected, but terrifying and unknown, bizarre biological phenomenon unlike anything she could have imagined. The recordings reveal strange occurrences while she sleeps. At night, Buddy exhibits behavior that is far from ordinary, acting as if drawn to Emily in a peculiar and unsettling manner. But as the footage continues, the mystery deepens. It shows bizarre, almost otherworldly moments involving changes in Emily's environment, shadows moving unnaturally, and an inexplicable connection between her and the forest. Terrified, Emily contacts experts and researchers, leading her down a dark rabbit hole of science and folklore. She learns that the forest she lives in holds secrets beyond human understanding, ancient, unseen forces tied to the land. The pregnancy is not the result of anything familiar, but rather something much more sinister and unearthly. The camera footage confirms her worst fears. There is an unknown force at play that transcends normal biology. The truth shakes Emily to her core, leaving her to face the reality that her pregnancy is not what it seems. Her life will never be the same again. As the days go by, Emily becomes consumed by the revelations. The more she studies the footage, the clearer it becomes that something unnatural is at work. Strange figures seem to appear in the corners of the frame, shadowy shapes that are neither human nor animal, moving swiftly through the room and disappearing just as quickly. Emily begins to feel watched, not just by these unknown forces, but by the very forest that surrounds her home. Her dog, Buddy, also begins to change. Once full of life and energy, he becomes lethargic and distant, often staring blankly into the trees outside or pacing nervously at night. His once comforting presence now unsettles Emily, as if Buddy is aware of something she can't fully comprehend. Desperate for answers, Emily reaches out to a local historian who is knowledgeable about the strange occurrences in Vermont's wilderness. The historian tells her about ancient myths tied to the forest, stories of beings who lived in harmony with nature, but had the ability to manipulate life in mysterious ways. These beings were said to be neither human nor animal, but existed in the space between, capable of influencing life and creation in ways that defied modern understanding. The historian warns her that these entities, often forgotten in modern times, may still roam certain untouched parts of the world, especially dense, ancient forests like the one Emily calls home. Terrified but determined, Emily delves deeper into these myths, searching for any connection to her own terrifying experience. Her nights grow longer, filled with disturbing dreams of faceless figures visiting her in the dark. In these dreams, she finds herself standing in the forest, surrounded by towering trees that seem to pulse with life. The trees whisper, and she feels their words in her very bones, an ancient language of the earth and sky, telling her that she is part of something far larger than herself. But what they are saying, she cannot yet understand. One night, Emily wakes up to find herself standing outside in the forest, barefoot, her hands covered in dirt, as if she's been digging. Buddy is beside her, growling at the trees. In her panic, she rushes back inside, but the feeling of being watched is overwhelming. The footage from that night shows her walking calmly into the woods, as if being led by some unseen force, and moments later, the camera flickers an image of a tall, dark figure, barely visible, fills the screen before it cuts to static. Emily is now convinced that whatever is happening to her, It is beyond the natural world. The pregnancy she carries is not human, but something far more terrifying, something tied to the forest and its ancient, unspoken power. She realizes that the force behind her condition is not just targeting her, it's a part of her now, growing within her and connected to the very earth beneath her feet. With her options running out, Emily is forced to make a choice. She can either confront the unknown, seeking answers from the heart of the forest itself, or flee in the hopes of escaping this ancient force that seems to have chosen her for reasons she cannot yet fathom. But deep down, Emily knows the truth. The forest doesn't just surround her, it lives within her now. There may be no escape from the life she now carries, or from the entities that have silently watched her since the beginning. As the pregnancy progresses, Emily feels a strange bond forming with the child inside her, a bond not of fear, but of understanding. She is no longer just Emily. She's part of something much older, something powerful, and soon, she will have to face whatever it is head on. The forest has claimed her, and the future, once hers alone, now belongs to it as well. As Emily comes to terms with the terrifying reality growing inside her, the days blur into an eerie, tense quiet. The forest, once a source of peace and calm, now feels like a looming, watchful entity. Even though Emily hasn't left her house in weeks, she feels a strange, magnetic pull from the trees beyond her windows. Every sound, every breeze through the leaves, seems to whisper her name, drawing her closer to the truth she dreads, but cannot avoid. One evening, Emily notices that Buddy has begun to act more erratically than ever. His usual subdued behavior has given way to constant pacing, and his once bright eyes seem dull, almost vacant. Emily tries to comfort him, but he seems to sense something she cannot see, growling softly at the shadows that dance along the walls as the sun sets. That night, Emily dreams again. This time, the vision is more vivid than before. She's deep in the heart of the forest, standing before an ancient, gnarled tree with roots that stretch endlessly into the earth. The tree pulses with life, and standing in front of it is the shadowy figure from the camera footage. This time, it's not a blur or a fleeting shape, it's clear. The figure is tall, impossibly so, with glowing eyes that burn like embers in the darkness. Its presence is commanding yet oddly familiar. As Emily approaches, her fear gives way to a strange calm, as if she's been waiting for this moment. The figure speaks, but not in words. The message is felt deep inside her, a knowing, a truth. Emily awakens with a start, drenched in sweat, her hand instinctively on her belly. The child inside her stirs, as if reacting to the dream. And for the first time, Emily feels not just its presence, but a connection, as though the forest itself is alive within her. The dream lingers in her mind as she begins to understand the deeper meaning behind it. The being in the forest is not an enemy, but a guardian of something ancient. Whatever life she is carrying, it is tied to the land, to the forest, and to the strange forces that inhabit it. Driven by this revelation, Emily decides to confront the source of her fears. She packs a small bag, gathers her courage, and heads into the forest with Buddy by her side. As they walk deeper into the woods, the air grows thick, the silence broken only by the rustling of leaves and distant, almost melodic, whispers. Emily is no longer afraid. Instead, she feels a strange sense of purpose, as if she's being guided. Hours pass, but time seems to lose meaning as she pushes further into the heart of the forest. Finally, she reaches a clearing she's never seen before. In the center stands the tree from her dream, massive, ancient, and pulsating with a soft, green light. The shadowy figure from her dreams is there, standing in front of the tree, waiting. Emily steps forward, Buddy by her side, and as she nears the tree, she feels the weight of the forest's presence surrounding her. The figure moves closer, and as it does, its form becomes clearer, shifting between shapes: human, animal, and something in between. It speaks to her, but not in any language she's ever known. The words echo in her mind, And though she doesn't fully understand, she feels a deep sense of communion with the entity. The figure touches her stomach gently, and in that moment, Emily feels the life within her respond. She realizes that the child she carries is not entirely human, but something born of the forest itself, a hybrid of ancient, natural forces and her own human essence. The pregnancy, the strange events, the figures in the shadows, it was all part of a grand, a noble plan, one that transcends her own life and the world she knows. The figure steps back, fading into the shadows of the trees, but its message remains clear. Emily is now a part of the forest, forever linked to its power and mystery. The life she carries will be a bridge between two worlds, the human and the ancient natural forces that have existed for millennia. As Emily stands before the tree, she feels a deep sense of peace wash over her. She no longer feels fear or confusion. Instead, she understands her place in the world and the role she will play in the future. The forest has chosen her, and she has accepted its gift, even though the full implications of it are still unknown. With Buddy by her side, she begins the journey back home, no longer running from the truth but embracing it. Whatever comes next, Emily knows she is no longer alone. She's part of something far greater, a guardian of the forest's ancient secrets, and a mother to something entirely new.